guys, and welcome back to part 2 of this series on breaking the curse of Willie Lynch. I feel like my cameras are really close. Part 2 on breaking the curse of Willie Lynch. I'm going to be talking today to the MD of Access UK, Nana Agyemang. He's going to be joining shortly, and we're going to be going through and basically giving you an overview and some information about what the curse of Willie Lynch and the letter of how to make a slave was, and how it still continues today in the form of self-hate, in the form of colorism, in the form of many different ways of divide. And basically we want to give you the information of where they stem from, and just to raise your awareness about the type of differences that we use to divide and conquer us, so that if you find yourself playing a part in that as well, you can actually stop it and just have that awareness as well. So thank you to those of you who joined back again. Okay, Nana's here now from Access UK. Oh, thank you, Save Your Boys, for joining back. Thank you, Aina and Hassie, for joining back. Thank you, Ian, for joining back as well. Really appreciate it. Hey, Nan, how are you?
What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah, just at the top end, because I know it irritated you last time. Have you got chewing gum or not?
Yeah, let me get rid of that right now.
Yeah, because it really annoyed you last time that you was chewing. So
yeah. Also, I wanna shout out to the anonymous person that called me, saying, Nana, you're meant to be on live. Where are you? Where are you? And they called me withheld. So that person, if you're listening, call me back after and we finish off our conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Because you were meant to be on live, weren't you? So, okay.
What's that?
So I've just done a little bit of a brief at the top end. So what I was explaining is that this is the second part, obviously, of this series that you and I are doing. And today we're going to be looking at divide and conquer, and just how, obviously, self-hate is perpetuated in our community, and provide some solutions of what people can do to overcome this curse, because what the whole theme is breaking the curse of Willie Lynch, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. And also as well, like, I know I've got some experience of the divide and conquer in play, just in terms of my own life, and I'm sure Nan has as well. So we can also share a bit of our experience today as well, so you can see how it looks in real life terms. But at the top of it, Nan, do you want to just introduce yourself? Because obviously it's going to be on my platform. Just let everyone know who you are, what you do, and then, yeah, we'll crack on.
Right, my name is Nana Agyemang. Apologies for coming on this live late. Technical problems, as we know. I'm not familiar with this, all this technology. But anyway, besides that, Nana Agyemang, co-founder of Access UK, which stands for African Caribbean Careers and Employment Support Services UK, and we help young Black people into work, training, education, business startup, and all these things. So yeah, that's me.
Amazing. And obviously last time, I know that there'll be some people this week that are here, like from last week as well, but there'll be some people that know. So can you just give like the headlines of what the curse of Willie Lynch is, just so that people who are listening know what they're following today? And I'll pin the comment in there. Okay,
so essentially Willie Lynch was reputedly a slave owner who's running a few plantations in the Caribbean. He was invited upon a request of other slave owners in America in 1712 to basically show them how to control the enslaved, how to manage them, because there was a lot of revolts going on in plantations. So he literally wrote down a manual in terms of how you would control the enslaved. And the point he made was that this kind of systematic control and methods would keep people enslaved mentally and physically for over 300 years. That's essentially it.
Yeah, really good explanation. And obviously at this point, we mentioned it last week as well, but this point in time is, we are at around that 300-year mark. So where I feel like there's kind of a mass awakening and people are more interested in things like this, and interested in how do we come together more as a community, and how do we stamp out racism and prejudice and unconscious bias, all those type of things, I think it's part of it's wearing off now at this 300-year point. You said it last week as well. Some people, you said, in a bit of doubt as to whether the theory actually existed and whether the person actually existed. But you and I both share the same point of view in that it's irrelevant because the things that were written in this theory still exist. So therefore, that's what we're kind of looking at. We're looking at, well, this is our reality at the moment and we want to change. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's, even before I came onto the live, somebody was calling me, telling me that, you know, after I shared the promo, and he's like, but you know that he didn't exist, right? I said, well, of course, I said it in the first live, which is, I gave that context that some people believe he didn't exist, but it's completely irrelevant because obviously the impact of those methods of control are still in place today. We still feel the impact and effects today. So yeah, here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what we also want to do as well is, if anyone's got any questions or any contributions as we're going through, please feel free to post them as well. There is an actual box for questions. It's got a Q on it in the bottom of the screen. So that means that we don't have to scroll through, because obviously you'll be making comments as we go throughout. We don't want to miss any questions, but we will scroll through anyway at like the halfway point, answer any questions if we haven't answered them already, just to make sure that this is as informative and educational for you as possible, and that, yeah, we answer the questions that people would want to know. So feel free to do that. It's a safe space to do it. Yeah, and I think that's it. So what I will go through with you now is, in the beginning of the letter, what was actually written, and this was obviously delivered to a number of other slave owners to control, as Nan said, and obviously manipulate the Black community for years to come. Okay, so he gave them a list of characteristics that are to be used to divide and control the Black community. So the baseline of these characteristics were to instill fear, distrust, and envy into our community. And the idea was to list the differences in our community and in Black people and make them bigger, and make them bigger to the extent that they now become an issue with the other person. So the list of characteristics that had the main focus were age, colour or shade, intelligence, size, gender, size of plantation, attitude of the slave owners, the location of the plantation, whether it's on a hill, north or west, fine hair, coarse hair, tall or short. Now, the closing statement of that was to remember that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adoration, respect, or admiration. Okay, so these characteristics here, if we just look at things like colour and shade, it's obvious that the colorism in our community is rife. Okay, so that's a very, very easy way for you to see how this has been perpetuated for hundreds of years. Even in terms of the location, which, to be honest, before I've done research into it, I didn't realise that location was something that was used to divide and conquer. But I mean, look at the correlation between now the postcode wars that are going on, where people are literally fighting over different areas they live in, and one's more superior than the other, or, you know, one should be more revered than the other because of the postcode they live in, and that stems from like the theory as well.
That's it.
And then you can put like all the other things in there. So based on that, now, what kind of you want to say at the top end of it?
Well, first of all, you've listed a lot of divisions there. So what do you want to talk about specifically within that? Which one? Do you want to talk about location, or what is it?
I think let's talk about a bit of our experience, yeah? So for instance, I'll give you a little bit about me and how I experienced, okay, so a difference or a conflict with other Black women because of how I look. then, for instance.
Right.
Yeah. So when I was in school, when I was younger, as you know, first of all, I lived in like Snaresbrook, like Woodford type of way. So I went primary school there for a few years. And I think it was when I was around 7 or 8, I moved to Hackney and went to school in Hackney. Now, when I moved to go to school in Hackney, you know, Nan, my mum's Guyanese, so she's black, but she pretty much looks like Indian. And my dad's from Barbados, right? Which means that my hair is not the same as every other black woman, okay? So I used to get in fights with people who used to threaten to cut my hair off and used to say, I think I'm nicer than them because of my hair. Now, I'm a kid. I don't even know what the hell is going on. I've just come from Woodford, which is to be honest, I was in a predominantly white school there. So my hair would not have been a topic of conversation amongst everybody else who was white there. It just wasn't. But when I went to school in Hackney, obviously there's a lot more black people in Hackney. So in that way, I fit in a lot more. But in another way, I stood out because your hair's different to ours. Do you get what I'm saying? So then it was a point of contention a lot. So I had a lot of fights because of it. And I had a lot of issues because of it. So that's one way. If we're going back to the Willie Lynch theory now, that even in young children, you can see it happening where we looking at each other and, oh, she's different. I'm not different. We're all black. We're all the same. We all come from the same place. But it's just one way that it plays out. So what was it like for you in school in terms of looking at the list of characteristics? What happened with you? Because you grew up in Ghana originally and came here.
So my experience was this. I was completely colorblind, as they say. Yeah? I was completely oblivious to all these divides. Because remember, you're coming from an environment where everybody in a position of power or everybody in society is black. Your president's black. Your barber's black. Your doctor's black. Yeah? So coming from that conditioning and coming to this environment where, you know, people in positions of power and authority are all white. Yeah. It's a totally different thing. So I was oblivious to it. I was literally oblivious. Only when I got older and become a little bit more aware that I became conscious of these things. I mean, in my era, to be honest with you, it was more of the issue with the African and people from the Caribbean divide. It was more obvious. I grew up in that era. Now, for me, my experience was slightly different, you know, in the sense that the people that I looked up to were, just by coincidence, they were African. Yeah? These were guys that were popular with everybody, white, black, West Indian, wherever you have it. So I never really grew up with that complex. I come from an era where you meet Africans, fellow Africans, and they'll tell you they're West Indian. Or my mom's half Caribbean, and my pops is from Jamaica or something. I grew up from that era, and the people that listen to this know what I'm talking about. If they, if they're from my era. So, but for me, so
in your school, like your experience in school, you saw people of African descent denying that they were from Africa.
Yeah, some. It's commonplace.
The bigger problem as well is if you think about that, even statement, we all come from Africa. That's the truth.
Of course.
Right? But it's only, in my opinion, in the last 5 or 10 years, have Caribbean people started to even accept that. Do you get what I mean? It used to be an argument, like in school, where people say, I don't come from there. It's like, where do you come from then? Do you get what I mean? Like, so,
because think about it. It's a simple explanation. If you're growing up with in a system or environment where being black or being African in particular is frowned upon, or black people were, perceived, or Africans were perceived to be backwards, uncivilized, uncouth, rolling around, like walking around naked with bones in their nose, and etc., etc. Why would you want to be part of that? So this is all part of the kind of the psychological mess up that was done intentionally. This is all part of Willie Lynch, by the way. Yeah. It was done deliberately to create that divide. And that's why I started with that one. But that was a clear divide when I was younger. clear divide.
100%. Yeah, African and
I was
Caribbean.
not.
Even in comedy
Yeah.
shows, you see it, don't you? There's still like African bees, Caribbean in comedy shows, and obviously it's all light-hearted, but it stems from the original thing of African and Caribbean used to argue all the time and used to insult each other. You get what I mean? So
Absolutely.
we've got
And I can't stand those comedy shows. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
I can't stand them. Yeah. So you're saying?
No, we've got a comment from Jennifer saying it's not surprising if Africans were being bullied and persecuted for being African. It's a human instinct for survival, 100%. To like deny them. Do you get what I mean? That you're from Africa, or to not be as proud.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. But they're probably victims of the same misinformation and kind of perception of Africans, because they themselves are privy to that information that is negative. You know, Africans are backwards. So again, it's about distancing yourself from that. And the closer you are to Europeans, in terms of whether it's through conditional slavery or not, the mindset is the better. So if your name is Bianca Boyce and my name is Nan Adjaman, the Boyce being a European of European extraction, oh, that's better. Yes, sir. So you know, you had even people denying their names, changing their names, etc. So it was a very, for me, looking back, then and now, it was a clear divide. But I think with me, where I had came from an environment where I was very, very proud, and come from a very prominent family back home, I didn't really get it. It didn't really impact me. In fact, to be honest with you, if you look at all the relations I've had with women, majority of them have been from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And that's proof, because I remember a time where an African boy would be wary because of fear of rejection to even approach a girl from the Caribbean. Whereas I never had that. Yeah. I never had that kind of, I never had that at all in any shape or form. So, and I think that's because, one, I grew up in a different environment, and two, the people that I looked up to, the two prominent people that were kind of my elders, as it were Africans, well respected, well known. So I didn't have that issue, but I know that a lot of people had that issue on both sides. So people from the Caribbean having issues with their Africanness, and Africans having issues with their Africanness, because it's all rooted in the same issue of misinformation and all that stuff. So
yeah. Another thing that I would say as well that I've definitely noticed, and I think, and this is where it kind of goes out further from our community and goes into society, and this is where there's a big need now for education on conscious and unconscious bias and things like that, is because I know, for instance, with me, I have got more opportunities because of the way that I look as a Black woman than other Black women, where these characteristics, they're pitting them off against each other. Do you get what I mean? And it wasn't something I noticed in the beginning then. Like when I was younger, I didn't really notice it. But when I think back now, when I had my first leadership position at 17, and I ran my first store, like I got promoted to general manager, 18 going on 19. I had my first store, which was like 500,000 turnover, and there was 250 managers in this company. Now, because I'd done so well in the first year, I literally increased the turnover by like 50%. I won Manager of the Year. I remember when I was at that conference, 250 managers, I was one of about 30 females and the only Black person there. Do you get what I mean? So, like, think about that on a scale. What was the percentage of leadership in that company then that were Black and female? Do you get it? It's not even 1%. It wasn't even, because
absolutely.
So, like, I know for a fact as well, that's kind of used, and I think to myself, okay, so if I was just from Barbados, then would I have been in that position? Do you get what I mean? If I didn't have the like Guyanese, and then it made my hair different, and it made, do you get what I mean? My skin shade a little bit lighter, like what would have happened then? And I wasn't aware at a young age these things were happening. But what I did
of course not.
was great, I guess, on some level, even though I didn't know, we always half of my team were black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and but when I look back on it, if I compared my store to other people's stores, I always had the most black people in my store. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like, you know, because I wouldn't have that inbuilt fear or distrust in me, but maybe, you know, European community, white community, because of all of these things that are used to create distrust and fear and those type of things, they wouldn't naturally gravitate towards black people as well, even on an unconscious level, which is why now there's like mass education going on, because people don't realize we've all been conditioned, including the black community, for so many years that these things are seen to be normal. Do you get what I mean?
100%.
You must have experienced going into shops as well. Do you get what I'm saying? It's because of the color of your skin. You being 100%. People fear that you're going to steal something.
110%. And it's very complex. It works on so many different levels, because even as a black male, remember we was talking about this in the last discussion. What's happened is that, I'm talking about modern times, is that the black man has been exalted as almost like a sex symbol. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. What they do, what they do is they'll exalt, you know, they exalt black men. Oh, they're very attractive. We do the worldwide survey. Black men came on top in terms of attractiveness, and then the black woman is deliberately put at the bottom, right? So that in itself creates that angst, creates that issue, right? So if you look at modern examples of that, do you remember the time when the three girls were refused entry to the nightclub in West End?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
One of them was Daisy Mills was part of that as well, isn't it?
I'm not too sure. It was a little while, a few years back. So they were refused entry, and ironically, funny enough, when I remember back vaguely, I think the bouncer might have even been black. The person doing the G-list. Okay, right.
Something. Yeah.
The promoter was black. Okay.
Yeah.
So that in itself, we could be here discussing that all day long, the psychology behind that. But yeah, it was someone just put district. Yeah, it was district. Yes. So what you had afterwards was black males going on social media justifying why black women shouldn't be allowed in those clubs.
Yeah.
You see how crazy it is? Yeah. So you have people,
not even realizing what they're doing. Like you're talking about your mum, your daughter, your sister, your niece. Like you don't understand. And we were saying this as well. This male and female divide is getting bigger, man. And the woman is still, in my opinion, fiercely protective of the black male. But more and more the black male's like, let's leave her and just move on. Do you get what I mean? I've even had black men, and this infuriates me like no end. Black men say to me, who have chatted me up, they said, oh my God, you're beautiful, this, that, the other, thinking I'm going to take the compliment. I don't even normally date black women, but you're different.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Like, it's a quick way to lose me. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. But there are black women, do not be confused by this. There are black women who would be like, really? Oh, I'm better than other black women. But I'm like, you don't like your skin, mister. You need to get away from me. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're definitely not treating my daughter that you have, there's some type of tokenistic black woman that's acceptable and the rest of them ain't. No, you like, but even they will say it out of their mouth like it's a compliment, smiling at you, like you're just going to be so happy about it. And to me, and my friends are the same. It happened to a few of my friends, and they're all just like, what an idiot. Do you get what I mean? But it's something, again, because inherently in the black community, let's be honest, there is envy, there is distrust. You get what I mean? And there is like jealousy going on. So when someone points something out to somebody else and seemingly puts them on a pedestal, instead of standing up for every other person who now is being put down because of you, people just like, oh, I've been let through, it's fine. Do you get what I mean? You see it. Is
that whole thing? Is that whole thing of the psychology of the closer you are to white, the better you are. It's the association.
100%.
You know, it's the association. That's all it is. You want to be on a winning team. Psychologically, you don't want to be on a losing team. You want to be on a winning team. Now, if you don't know, you come from winners, and you come from people that actually done something, then you can understand the psychology why people will be like that. 110%. Remember, this control and brainwashing didn't happen overnight. It was a long period of time that it took to create the end person. I'm not going to say the word. Like I said in the last one, the N, or the Negro, was manufactured, was created. People didn't leave Africa in that condition.
Exactly.
You know, people didn't leave Africa with these crazy ideas about blackness. They were indoctrinated into that mindset over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And we're still suffering from that now.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can tell that it's all kind of false, and it's just done by brainwashing. Because even if you look at the example you gave of the black male, now has apparently been voted the most desirable man on the earth, and the black woman is right at the bottom. Okay, but if you look at like ideals of beauty, a lot of them stem from the black female. So what is this seen as attractive now in the media are all characteristics that the black female have, but with white skin. It's insane. Do you get what I mean? So if it were really
it's completely bizarre.
Undesirable, then why would everything be based on? Do you get what I mean? Characteristics of women of African descent. It doesn't make any sense. But
there you
people
go.
are like sleeping on it. Do you get what I'm saying? And so you will see black women do things like enhance their lips. We already have big lips. We already have. You know what I'm saying? It's like super size.
It's
more that. You know what I mean? That's being that's being like based on, or black women getting like bum implants. We already have them. And I'm not saying okay across the board every woman's the same, but this is where it's coming from. So, and then you have things like
but you know what, B? Let me even add something to that. That's really real, but people don't understand. If you look at Africa, right, as a continent, right, a continent full of, you know, billions of black people, okay? The diversity within Africa itself is huge, okay? So we could go to Kenya, where you get men that are tall and lean, right? Tall and lean. We could go to, even with the women as well, there's a mixture. Or we could go to Gambia or Senegal, where again, you get a certain phenotype, okay?
Yeah.
Then you go to the West, and they're short and stocky, or tend to be of a certain height, okay? Then you could go to Somalia or Ethiopia, again, a particular look. You could go to the north of Africa, where you get obviously the fairer skin, you know, the Arabs that came in, you know, over a period of time, the mixture between the Arabs and the indigenous Africans, and all else in between, Morocco. So within Africa itself, it's so diverse. You could go to Southern Africa, where you got the Bushmen, are very, very short and very, very fair, naturally fair skinned, no bleaching. Okay? So within Africa itself, there's so much diversity.
Of course.
You know, and you get all the spectrum of the colors as well. From the darkest of the dark, say in Sudan, to the lightest of the light in Southern Africa. So you know, that whole notion that there's a stereotypical look for a black person is false anyway. It's false. I remember I went to a mobile phone shop once. One time, and then the guy who's in there is from Afghanistan, and he got me confused with somebody else, because we were talking, and I realized, hold on a minute, is it me? Are you sure it's me? Then he goes, you know, he busts a little joke like, oh, you know how it is. You guys all look alike. I said, I beg your pardon? I said, don't be silly, my friend. I gave him a little history lesson. I said, no, you lot look all alike. Because Africa is the most diverse, you know, continent on the earth. Facts. Facts. This is not a racist statement or whatever. It's facts. Check it out. So there's a lot of unlearning that needs to be done anyway around blackness.
Yeah.
Even the fact that you could get two parents, right? You could get two parents that are quote unquote pitch black, yeah, dark as a night sky, and they could have 5 children, and those 5 children could literally come out in all different colors. This is the reason why. That's proof, scientific proof. The reason why black people are the mothers and fathers of everybody on the earth, because we can produce 2 black parents can produce kids of completely different hues all across the board. 2 white people cannot produce somebody that looks like me, or you, or a Chinese person, or Asian. They cannot do it. They can only produce another white person, another European. So we need to understand how this works in the real world and understand where we fit into the scheme of things. So if a European is talking to me, they're talking to their daddy. They're talking to their father who brought them into existence through thousands of years of mutations for you now to be a European. So we really need to learn this history and and use that history to empower ourselves as well.
100%. And so what I wanted to talk about today as well, because we're kind of at the halfway mark here, we can go through and read out some comments of what people are saying.
Okay.
If you've got any questions as well, you can type them in at this point. But then I want to kind of move on to like what's kind of happened and look at how now we are perpetuating the self-hate, and more importantly, what should we be doing now in order to cultivate self-love and then love amongst the community, and break down those 3 areas in terms of dissipating the fear, dissipating the envy, and dissipating the lack of trust. Because I think that's important as well, and we give people just some practical tips about it. So
go ahead.
has said, during slavery, the white slave master desired the black woman, so he would leave his white wife to go and have sex with the black slaves. Yeah, I wouldn't refer to it as sex. I definitely would refer to it as rape, but yeah, that is definitely true. People are saying, Amos said black women are the blueprint. And
But it's true though. It's true.
Yeah, Save Boys said that it's all about destroying the black family, which we spoke about last week, isn't it? And it is about that, especially the divide between women and men. It's definitely about destroying the black family. And, unfortunately, I have to say it is working. And this is why we want to raise awareness about this, because it is working. This isn't happening anymore from anyone outside of us controlling us. This is happening, as it was said, it would happen in the theory through conditioning now, and us perpetuating it amongst each other. If it's going to change, it will be us who needs to change it. It won't be off the back of somebody outside coming and encouraging us to unite again. That's not going to happen. So it has to be us who see the error of our own ways. Because do you know what I actually believe? I believe in all of us, because of this conditioning, inherently there is something that all of us do to contribute to perpetuating this. Do you get what I mean? Like, there are a few people that are quote unquote awake now, and maybe they're not. Do you get what I mean? And the things that we're doing here and raising awareness are part of that cohort. But the bottom line is, en masse, it does happen. It happens a lot. And could we all be doing more to break down this curse and bring back unity? Yes, we could. I definitely believe that I could, or I wouldn't have done this live and, had this conversation on here. Because, okay, as much as, like, do I do the things that I'm going to speak about and you're going to speak about? Yes, I do. But do I play a bigger role in making sure that other people know what to be doing? No, I don't think I did. So for me, it was like everyone in our community has a level up they can go in order to help this, right? And to break it down. So for me,
100%.
In my profession, I understand the importance of self-love, and I understand just what self-hate does. What would you say are the biggest examples of self-hate in our community, and what do you think are some of the things we should do to counteract it?
Biggest examples of self-hate. Well, there's a lot. I think this whole Willie Lynch thing manifests itself in so many weird ways. Too many to mention. I could literally be here all day listening to them. So it's become a part of society. It become normalized.
Yeah.
You gave examples of it. I've given examples of it. In terms of
in the line of work that you do, okay, let's relate it back to that. But in your line of work, you work with youths a lot, and you're kind of looking at getting the Black community back into employment, education, entrepreneurship. When it comes to the barriers that you come across to being able to engage people and to be able to help people to advance, then what are the main barriers that you think stem from self-hate that obviously comes from this theory?
Again, very, very loaded question. Let's look at a few things. We know first of all that unemployment, in terms of unemployment amongst the youth, is disproportionate amongst Black youth. So when we started Access, at the time we started Access, 1 in 2 young Black people were unemployed in the UK, right? 50%. Okay, right. And it doesn't matter whether there's a recession or there's a boom, that figure invariably stays the same, right? We also know that majority of employers in the UK are Europeans, white, right? So they and lots of government studies have proven beyond reasonable doubt that racism plays a big part in those disparities.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we were talking about Willie Lynch in the past and that whole thing of creating a situation whereby Blacks are dependent on the master for survival, whether it's the man, the woman, the child, completely dependent, that still remains the same to this day.
Yeah.
Because we are sending our children to university and educational institutions. When they come out, what do? They look for a job with somebody that doesn't look like them, and they ultimately make the decision on whether they're going to employ them or not.
Yeah.
So we still haven't got away from that notion of breaking the dependency from the master, as it were. So the same issue is the same. It's conditioning. Again, most people are thinking that they'll go into a white institution, education institution, and they'll get educated so it could be as white as possible, quote unquote, learning as possible so they can be accepted. Yeah. So a lot of this is about acceptance. That's why in Access UK, we say, cool, we understand that. So we're going to teach you how to be self-sufficient, how to start your own business, how to be a solution to your own problem, how to stand on your own feet. And also, conversely, to back that up, as a career, remember, we're a career service, but a big component of what we provide is Black history lessons. People might call it, confidence and motivation, self-esteem classes. We don't call it that because we know why there may be a low self-esteem in a Black person, or lack of confidence is going to be different from a white person that's accessing the service. So because of that learning and understanding, we do a lot of work with psychologists, mental well-being practitioners, nutritionists. All these people are all part of bringing the youth back into alignment, so they can have a positive impression about themselves. And that's what the foundation is for change. Because if you know better, you do better. It's as simple as that. So that's why we embed that in all our services.
Yeah. So one of the solutions would definitely be that if anyone is on here who is unemployed and who fits within the age category of that which you help, one of the solutions would be definitely sign up on one of your programs so they can benefit from all of the education and training as well to help them to be self-sufficient and obviously build up a positive self-image as well, because it's so important, isn't it? And when you have a positive self-image, you then have a positive image of people that look like you and resemble you as well.
100%.
And therefore, there is definitely more unity there. I definitely think as well, just even awareness of what's coming out of your mouth. Do you get what I mean? And like catching yourself when you find yourself talking about any of these characteristics that I listed out earlier in another Black person. Think about what you're doing and the impact of you doing that. The impact of you pointing out somebody's hair, pointing out somebody's shade of their skin. Do you get what I mean? Pointing out like differences in where you live.
Excuse me for 1 minute. Excuse me for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So I'll just carry on here. So when you have that and you're kind of noting people's differences, instead of highlighting their differences like as something as a divide, like complement each other more, you know, like have positive conversations about each other's uniqueness and don't see it as a competition or as a threat. I also think as well that when it comes to kind of envy, I think envy is something that's massive among us in the Black community, and it comes out in obvious ways and it also comes out in subtle ways. But the passive ways that it comes out are the lack of support for positive things that other Black people are doing. So when you see it so much on social media posted up where people are saying, you know, people don't support each other's businesses, people don't really share each other's stuff, people don't kind of join in to help each other advance. So what I'm talking about at the moment now is the fact of just ways that we can stop being so passive and actually actively help each other and promote each other's businesses and promote what each other's doing that's great. And if you are in an organisation and you've got a good position in an organisation, recommending, you know, people from the Black community for positions, for job roles, you know, to get an interview, because actually this is something that we do. Like I'm part of a lot of membership organisations and I hold different board positions in different places of multicultural organisations, but we all help each other. We all and having that community feel and having that part of a network of people that you know that are just looking out for you and are gonna talk about your services or promote your products without you even asking is really, really important. And so while we're on this, obviously people can come to your program as well, but I know like someone who I've recently connected with who is amazing, Chris Preddy, has started up a community. He started up a community called Village, which is about coming together and unifying and supporting each other and supporting the youth in the community. It's a very low cost membership group that he set up. That's something, again, you could do to start to be a part of organisations. I've got my own membership group that is for coaches and to support them through building their business and just help them overcome the general challenges, because I've been coaching for 5 years now. So yeah, I'm kind of like building a membership group. Obviously it's in my business, but it is a supportive group of women that just empower each other. Also in the process of building another membership organisation. So it's just about like going out of your way to connect with your community at large. A lot of Black people now literally hang around with, associate with, are friends with people just from school, and that's who they know for their whole life, and that's their friendship group for their whole life. They don't go to, you know, networking organisations and experience the benefits.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's funny. It's funny you said that, because when we do our studies, we know that that's one of the biggest. No, not one of the biggest. It's one of the contributors to the unemployment. Okay. Yeah. So let's look at a journey, for example, of a typical white person in university. By the time they hit the second year, they already built up their networks, because they understand your network is your net worth. So what their parents will do is they'll almost line up a job for them before they even complete their third year. So literally, as soon as they get their qualifications, they'll get the degree that they're expecting, they're walking straight into a job. Whereas some Black people thinking, oh, it's begging friend. You know, network is like begging friend. And these are the warped ideas that we need to get rid of. It doesn't make any sense.
That was perfectly done, because if you relate it back to the Willie Lynch theory as well, where you've got that inherent mistrust, envy, jealousy going on in the Black community, to step outside of that seems foreign, isn't it? Because it's like, why would I go and talk to someone? They're not like me. They don't like me. Do you get what I mean? So it's like it contributes to it. And that's a very, very powerful thing to do if you want to control the black community, is obviously, like we said, divide them and don't have them in networking groups. Because you see, the thing is, I'm being really honest, like, I've been networking since I was young. So after I was 17 to 27, I didn't have to interview for one job. And I went up every couple of years. Do you get what I mean? There was always someone saying, oh, I know her, she's really good, headhunt her. Do you get what I mean?
That's it.
Because I knew
That's
them.
it.
They were my friends, they
That's
were in
it.
my network. I didn't understand this whole thing of like, oh, you go out and look for a job. No, I did it once or twice in my life. Do you get what I mean?
100%. 100%.
It was so weird because I went for an interview and a recruitment agent was following me online and was like, Bianca, there's a position come up, it's got your name written all over it. But on the same day, I didn't even know that my friend who works at the company rang me and was like, oh my God, they're looking for someone here, come here. So I was like,
absolutely.
Yeah. You know, so I really had to really put in a good word for me. So that's normal in my life. It's not normal in a lot of black people's life.
Absolutely.
Actually, so join these organisations, like I said, and me and Anna sorting something out that's going to cross sectors in the voluntary and the private sector, for networking, for education, for training, for development. We'll be doing stuff around entrepreneurialism as well, and like building your charity or social enterprise or business, because Nan's skilled in the voluntary sector. I'm well skilled in the private sector. I run my own business. It's what I do full time. So we're going to be doing that. And again, it will be interesting to see like who's going to invest in being a part of that network. You know what I'm saying? And like really making a difference, because we have to have that in our community where we are part of network like this. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's normal.
Absolutely.
So when your children leave school, they should know the next thing is you join. Yes, you go and look for a job you want to, but join networking organisations. You know,
absolutely. It's about embedding things in the community, which becomes the norm. It becomes normalized. So, for example, my brother is a builder, right? He's in the building trade. He tells me the amount of homes he goes to, white homes, where it's standard for them to have a library, their own mini library within their house. And that's what actually gave him an idea. You know what? I need to create my own library. I need to build up library for my children and for an environment where my kids can pick up a book and read. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because other people, it's the norm. It's standard.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got loads. I think it's because, again, like have my family and my aunt's like always been like very academic. She'll buy me. I remember when she gave me my Lord of the Rings. I don't know, maybe I was like 8 or 9. The book's massive. It's like 1,000 and something pages in there. But from that age, I was reading anyway. She would always give books. My bookshelf now is massive. Do you get what I mean? And I've always continued to read and educate myself in that way. It's a hobby of mine, but it isn't common. So that's, again, is another small thing we can do. And start off, if you feel that like you're a part of this and you are heavily conditioned, because you need to admit if you are, you start by reading positive books. You start by joining membership organizations with people that are black as well, to start building that community impact, building that
100%.
Unity. Do you get what I mean? It's 100%. Not about, when we talk about networking, I want people to understand like what networking really means, because in how I was, you know, raised in the old school way of networking, what you do is you join networks with the idea of what can you give. You don't join networks with the idea of what can you take, which is another error I think that we have been conditioned in the black community to, how can I gain something here, right? And so when you go in with the idea of how can I gain something, then your value decreases greatly among the network. Whenever I'm networking, I join organizations and I think, how can I provide something to this organization? Who can I get a referral? Who can I partner? Nana, I'm forever calling you, aren't I, with people saying, this person's starting their charity. Please have a conversation with them. Which is why we come up with the idea to say, you know what, let's just do a membership organization. But
make a formal,
organization, I'm always doing it. Like, okay, my girl Shannon's in here now. She's the ultimate UK curly girl. Any girl I see with curly hair, I'm like, check out Shannon. You get what I'm saying? Because she does that as her business. Even on my live every week on Mondays, that's a funny thing. I always big up Shannon's business because I love what she does, you know. And like, there's Hattie on here. She does customization for trainers. Do you get what I mean? I always do that, but that's been my mentality since I was young. So what happens then? I get a call even today, this morning, or message on Instagram saying, "Oh, I've been recommended to you for coaching. Can we have a call?" Yes, we have a call, and that person's going to start next week. Do you get what I mean? But
absolutely,
that came from someone else in the Black community who thinks like me. She was having a conversation, and she said, "I need a coach," and they said, "Oh, I know Bianca." I know who that person was.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works. Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
You know,
100%. Yeah,
do it. It costs nothing. I've just done it again. Like I've just mentioned Freddie. I've just mentioned Shannon. I've just mentioned Hattie. That's 3 people. It's just standard for me to do that. So even if you did nothing else, if for the next week, anytime you hear someone talking about something that your friends or family do, you mention your friends or family's name. It's a simple way to stop envy. And whenever you feel really envious of someone, because you know what, it isn't a lot of people in our community, go out of your way to compliment that person. Counteract it instantly at every time. So you feel like you're a bit jealous of that person because they're doing something. How about this? Ask them, how did you get there? How did you do it? Do you get what I'm saying? Instead of going to your friends, you see what they're doing. Because if someone asks me how I got where I got, I'm going to tell them. Because I want to see more people like me, more Black people, more women. Do you get what I'm saying? I want to see it dominating everywhere. That's what I want to see. Because then I feel like, okay, you know, there's a purpose to my growth here. You can't be one of those people who gets to do a certain thing and then all of a sudden you're like, you want to dominate a particular area. Anytime someone DMs me and says, I want to be a coach, I'm excited. I'm not like, oh no, one more coach to compete with me. But that's because I love myself now. I know what I'm doing and I'm good at what I do. You can't compete with me anyway. No one's like me. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we need to get. You are
what you think. You are what you think. And all the philosophers of the past, of the ancients, have said exactly the same thing. You know?
100%.
You know, for those that are religious, again, what does it say in the Bible? As a man thinketh, so is he. So you are what you think. You know, the Buddha said exactly the same thing. So it all starts from this. If your mindset is correct, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah,
you know, that's how it works. That's how it works. Yeah.
You didn't care about approaching every Caribbean woman. You didn't think you would get rejected by them. Why? Because you feel it yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're approaching everyone like, yeah, what are you saying? And therefore you got the result that you wanted to get. You know what I mean?
Listen,
it's like that. Everyone's seeing people out and think, wow, how did they do that? How did they do that? They believed in their damn self. That's how they did that. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we need to work on. So where you feel jealousy and envy, I don't want you to beat yourself up, right? Because we've been conditioned for that. But what I want you to do is to look at, how do I replace that with self-love? How do I replace that with positive self-image? How do I replace that with love for my brother or sister? You get what I'm saying? Because once that happens, listen, we're just going to be unstoppable. And it's not about competing or being better than anyone else. It's about bringing us in line with how everyone else feels about themselves, you know?
I mean, look. My friend, I was talking to my friend the other day about this, about how blackness is monetized. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's monetized. Now, if you're looking through music, culture, everything, it's a $1 trillion business, blackness. But we're not benefiting from that because we don't value it. Other people see the value in it.
Yeah.
That's why they're making lots of money from it. But us as people, right? Today, for example, I found out that the head of the Notting Hill Carnival, the president of the group that controls it, is a white man.
Wow.
Okay, found out today.
I'm not surprised
Okay,
though. I'm saying wow. I'm
right?
saying well, I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised at all. But what I'm saying is, we've always failed to monetize, or I think it comes from the fact that we don't value the blackness. Because if we did,
It is. It is
we
that.
would definitely monetize it. Because other people see it, we can't see it. That's a problem.
Yeah.
We can't see the value.
100%.
You remember when I started Access,
Mhm.
right?
Oh
Look, and
Lord.
I invested my own money into the setup, into operations for over a year before we got a penny from anybody. People said to me I was insane. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing all this thing for black people?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't see
I
it.
mean, literally, when you think about
That,
it, because I remember having
yeah,
many conversations with you in the first few years. I mean, you
yeah.
mentioned support. You could hear a pin drop in the freaking room, right? Like, you could hear a pin drop. That's freaking radio silence. And now, all of a sudden, you've got contracts and you've been endorsed by people that are not black. And everyone wants to be a part of it. Like, everyone's like, yeah, you know, I'm a part of Access UK, trying to get in there, even trying to volunteer. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, really? But no one really did in the beginning. And obviously you understand the psychology. So you, like myself, you're not going to shun people now. You still care about empowering black
Yeah.
people. But some people who experience what you've experienced or what I've experienced in building my business would do what other black people are doing. Go, you know what? Get everyone now. I don't care. Do you get what I mean? Because
100%.
where were they? You know?
Listen, like I said, it's simple. They feel they want to be in a winning team. And if you associate winning with Europeans, that's what you're gonna do. That's what, for example, what do most people do when they become successful, materially successful?
Yeah.
They move out of their immediate area and they go elsewhere to live in an area where they're the odd one out. You know, they're like
it isn't always just because of that. Sometimes it is because of how much lack of support they've got. Let's be honest. What colour was the first donor to Access UK? What colour were they? They weren't
white
black.
White German man. Yeah.
There you go.
And you know what? And to this day, my biggest donors, in terms of, forget the commercial side that we operate, my biggest donors are Europeans, without a shadow of a doubt. But I understand. I mean, there's been a massive hike in support because of what happened to George, right? Massive hike.
Yeah.
Where corporates are calling us en masse. You know, Europeans are donating because they now see it in their face. They can't avoid the truth. So you know, but the irony of it is, as we get more support from Europeans, you see black people following the template. Because the endorsement from a European is almost like a badge of honor. So Europeans are feeling you now, so I'm feeling you. Yeah. Again, the whole Willie Lynch thing all goes back to the same thing.
I'm
so
laughing because I didn't get like support or people kind of signing up for coaching until certain people saw me with people that weren't black. I'm telling you.
There you go. And
it was actually quite bad, but again, I understand the conditioning, so I'm not mad at it, and actually I'm more about overcoming it, and I don't want to become a part of the problem. Do you get what I mean? I don't want to become a part of that where actually, oh, you did this to me, so now I'm going to do this to you. No, because I'm not a puppet. So I'm not playing this game. If you want to be jealous of me or not support, I'm still going to support you. I'm not playing. Do you get what I'm saying? Because someone has to counteract what's going on. But I also do understand why some other black people have had enough of this situation, and they're just like, I'm just going off with me and my family, and I'm not interested.
100%. I get it. Yeah, you have to understand the psychology behind that. You know, you have to understand it, because everybody, like I said, wants to be in a winning team.
Yeah.
Now, if you've been conditioned to think that blacks are not winning, hey, some people are going to take a different route. It really makes sense. You look at things like, for example, Black History Month is coming, okay? In October. You have to ask yourself, why do lots of our young people reject our history? Because they've been taught, the history that they're taught in school starts from enslavement. It starts on a boat. So why the hell would they want to be part? Why the hell would they want to know about that stuff? Not knowing that that's only a fraction of the black experience in history. They never get taught about the, you know, the look, when the Caucasians came about as a so-called race, right? Because remember, I don't believe in this whole idea of races.
Mark,
It's a man-made.
it's counting down on
Yeah.
us, yeah? It's counting
Okay.
down, so we'll come off and come back on for like 15 minutes something. But so yeah,
Okay.
everyone join us on the other side, please.
Okay, cool. No problem.